Ricken Financial presents Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Jerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you reach the retirement you deserve. Let's build a strategy that gives you the confidence while meeting your financial wants and needs. Meet the team at rickenfinancial.com. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens.
And we appreciate you subscribing to Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. As Big Voice just said, rickenfinancial.com. My name is Mark Owens, Jerry Ricken, Heidi Ricken Provost. How are y'all doing? Good to see your faces.
Every day's a holiday, Mark.
Doing great, Mark. How about you?
So, Heidi, before we got started here, we were making fun of each other.
Oh, yeah. What's new? But
For trying to pretend like that we are still young and able-bodied and limber and have livers, when the truth is, Heidi Ricken Provost, that we are adults. We should not be trying to act like children when we are not kids anymore. Would you like to go first, or would you like for me to?
oh, yeah. No, I mean, it was a beautiful weekend. So you have to, wake up at, what did I tell you my alarm was set at?
5:30.
Yeah, my alarm was set at 5:30 on a Sunday morning to go have a patio day with some friends. And I'm not 22 years old anymore. I fell asleep on the couch at like 8 o'clock.
Was it too sunny outside? Did you get too much sun? Did you go for a hike?
Oh,
Did you?
yeah.
What happened, Heidi?
I was, enjoying a couple adult beverages with my adult friends and pretending like I was still 22 years old.
Those are the
And
worst.
yeah, but it was a Sunday. Like, what were we thinking? It was a great day. Don't get me wrong, but got home at like 9:30 p.m. At our friend's house. I fell asleep on their couch at like 8. And then my alarm went off at 6 again to get ready and go to work. So, I can't do that anymore.
You
I'm
have
too
those
old.
moments when you're enjoying
You're
a
too
perfect
old.
day on the
That's funny.
patio, that 30, 45, maybe an hour where you're like, I still got it. I can
yeah.
still do this. And then soon after your body starts saying, no, you can't.
Oh, what happened to you, Mark?
My body said, you can do it. We went to Six Flags over Georgia, and the nostalgia kicked in, and I decided to put all of this. And, obviously, this is a podcast. You can't really see, but the best way to describe my body, think of a box with a thumb sticking out of the top of it.
Oh, for Christ's sake, Mark.
It's not that bad, Mark.
It's essentially
Be nicer to yourself.
what I
but
look like.
Okay.
And then I tried to squeeze all of this onto the roller coasters, and the seats over the years have not changed, but my body has, so trying to get in it was bad enough. Then the punishment that my body endured on these wooden roller coasters, you get off and you're like, that wasn't too bad. For 4 days, 4 days, Heidi, Jerry, after riding a roller coaster, my back still hurt. When did it all go wrong?
Well, you kids need to learn someday to be an adult.
Why,
Oh,
Jerry?
please enlighten us. What have
Yes.
you done, Mr.
So,
Adult?
Oh,
well.
wise master.
I'm usually the one who is hanging on the patio or actually out there with the young kids, going stride for stride with them. But this weekend, my wife was out of town.
Sure.
And I decided to paint the backsplash of our double staircase going up the steps.
What is wrong with you, man?
I'm telling you, I adulted. I got
gotta-
up
I guess-
Sunday morning early,
No.
went to Mass, came back from Mass, went straight to work, actually caught up on a few things at work, and then spent about 12 hours painting. Prepping's the worst part, though.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, my body didn't feel very good either after laying on some steps and painting upside down. That didn't feel very good either Monday morning.
between
But age is just a number.
between
Oh, yeah.
Heidi getting knocked off her feet after 4 high noons, me not able to walk after one roller coaster, and Jerry having to sleep off 4 days after painting the back. This is the sexiest podcast in all of
Oh, yeah.
podcasting.
I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
RickenFinancial.com. You can meet the team, put faces to the voices that you hear every weekend here on Kickin' with the Rickens. And, you were saying off the air that why this time of the year, I'm not real sure, but you said you've been getting a lot of the same question lately. Everybody's been coming to you, either
Yeah.
being the families that you serve or potential new clients, and they're asking the same question. And the truth is, Heidi and Jerry, there is no right answer. What is the question that everybody wants to know right now?
How much money do I need to save for retirement?
I think the reason why a lot of people have asked us this question lately was a lot of the major news outlets picked up an AP story that said, this is the exact amount you need to save for retirement to retire safely in your state. And so a lot of people read that. They come in and they're like, okay, so
What's my number?
what's my number? I have my savings. I'm ready, right?
No, that's wrong.
Or they want automatic.
Yeah, it's a magical.
It's a magic number.
When I
If
hit
you
this
save
number,
this,
I can retire.
you can retire.
Yeah, so,
But that's
it
not
just doesn't
fair,
work that
though,
way.
because everybody's budget is different. Everybody's income is different. So clickbait articles, and I've seen it too. I even saw one recently, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. He said that, adults need at least $5 million to retire comfortably, which may be true, but for some people, that may be a massive exaggeration, but for some people.
Spoken as a true billionaire.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously.
That's
All right, so walk me through it. How do you build a plan to help me realize how much I really need to retire comfortably?
well, we look at a lot of different things. We look at everything. But what we're focused on here in answering that question is not really how many assets you need, but how much income you need. Because we need to evaluate what your expenses are now, what expenses are going to be in the future. Are you going to be traveling more? Are you going to be, are you going to be downsizing, right-sizing, making home improvements, doing the things that have been on that honey-do list for years and years and years? You're finally attacking those. And what about inflation? Inflation reared its ugly head again, a few years ago, and it was at Social Security. I'll pick on it because the government picks on social. They say, oh, here's our consumer price index, at 5.9%, 8.7%, 3.2%, 3 years in a row. Well, and when people think about inflation, they think, they hear this clickbait and they hear the talking heads saying, inflation's down, it's going down, it's going down. That doesn't mean prices went down. That just means the amount of increase in those prices is slowing down. It doesn't mean, gas isn't going to go down. The cost of a can of vegetables isn't going down. It's going to stay where it was and just continue to increase with inflation as you go forward.
I mean, even just yesterday, we were having a conversation with someone who was in here and they said, I really like strong, bitter coffee. So I drive through the White Castle to get a coffee. And she said it used to be like $2 or $3 a day when I would get my 2 coffees. And the other morning, the worker said, I am so sorry. It went up to $4. In the back of my head, I'm thinking like, that's not that big of a drastic change. But she was like, it made me start thinking this worker who had nothing to do with setting the price or anything is the one apologizing to me for the price. And that's just one small part of her day, and no one else is sitting here apologizing to us, but prices are up across the board everywhere you look.
And it's amazing how much inflation does impact things, because when I got married almost 40 years ago, we bought our first house for $74,000. Go price of a F-150 right now.
It's $85,000.
Exactly. More than your house.
A lot more than our house.
Yeah.
We're paying more for our cars now than we paid for our houses years ago. But inflation just keeps going, and it won't stop. We know it won't stop.
Did you see it went viral last week? The gentleman who went to Five Guys Burgers, he got like a cheeseburger, fries, and a Coca-Cola. The bill was almost $25 for a cheeseburger.
Insane.
For one person?
For one person.
I'm in the wrong business.
You can blame Five Guys, you can blame White Castle, but that's the reality of inflation. This goes back to when somebody says, how much money do I need to retire? There is no set answer.
No, I mean, we're not a genie. You can't just, rub the bottle and ask us to come up with something out of thin air. Every person that meets us is going to have a different answer to that question.
And when people come to us,
reasons.
we design income plans, because it's all about your income covering your expenses. If you can have guaranteed income to cover all of your expenses, that's 90% of the retirement package right there.
Okay, give me a couple of examples of some potential for guaranteed income in retirement.
Number one, Social Security.
And if you're blessed with a pension plan.
You hope that it's a solid pension.
And you
plan.
want to make sure that it is.
And then when you're working, you get that paycheck every 2 weeks, once a month, every week, whatever the situation may be. But when you retire, you have to make sure you have paychecks like that coming in. So you could have been saving in a tax-free retirement plan that's going to pay you out on a monthly basis, or have some annuities that are going to pay you, which, by the way, if you have Social Security or a pension, that's an annuity. Because an annuity is a steady stream of income being paid to you.
As we've talked about here before on Kicking with the Rickens, there are many different layers to annuities.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. They're
Absolutely.
good annuities, and they're annuities that I wouldn't recommend to anyone.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, absolutely. And the ones
so-
that we're talking about for this are the ones that are designed to create a stream of income.
we've all been indoctrinated that what we need to do is build this nest egg our entire career. And we do it through 401ks, we do it through IRAs, we do it through investment accounts. But what we want to say is, okay, this is our retirement year. This is our retirement life, okay? And I equate it to climbing Mount Everest. Mount Everest is 29,029 feet from the base to the peak.
Yep.
This is, and I equate the peak as the summit as the day you retire. But if you see this triangle, I'm holding up a triangle, and you can't see it because obviously this is a podcast.
Right.
I'm holding up a triangle, and what I'm doing is I'm putting my two thumbs together and forming a triangle at the top of the peak of Mount Everest. The last 3,000 feet up and the first 3,000 feet down from the summit is called the death zone of Mount Everest, because most of the deaths on Mount Everest occur the last 3,000 up and the first 3,000 down. And in fact, more of them occur on the way down, that first 3,000. We equate that to our retirement death zone. Okay. We don't want something to happen in that period of time before your retirement date and after your retirement date. And typically we look at 10 years before and 10 years after. If something happens in that and you don't have a good an income plan, it can devastate what's happening in your retirement life. Your whole plan can be ruined. It can be ruined by taxation, inflation, market fluctuation, the three shuns. We don't want those shuns to happen to you in that retirement death zone. Because if you think about this, if you haven't focused on it, you're just using your nest egg to live off of, and you're just distributing that to yourself, and that's your income plan. All of a sudden, the market crashes. You're exposed to a lot of principal risk. All of a sudden, you're taking money out when your balances are going down. You're going to run out of money a lot sooner than you will if you had the proper income planning in place. If you have the proper income planning in place, you can withstand some of those elements that I just talked about. But you never want to be at risk, 100% at risk. You need to think about the different way of investing when you're starting to approach that retirement death zone. When you're 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, you don't want something dramatically negative to happen to that nest egg.
Well, and I think that's important to mention that too, because a lot of people will say, I know you guys focus on retirement, but I'm 42. I don't need to come see you for 15 years. Well, that's not true. I mean, at any point in time, we need to be planning for our future, because if you hope to retire one day, you could be 12 years old and start a retirement plan.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not kidding. It's vital to really start putting your plan on paper when you're 10, 15 years out, because otherwise anything could happen. It could devastate you. And you might say, well, I read that article, so I saved my $2 million and I am good to retire in the state of Missouri. Well, that's just some arbitrary number some actuary or someone came up with somewhere. That has nothing to do with your personal plan and if you're going to be solvent in your own retirement.
And the biggest thing you need to look at when you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old is taxation. Because does anybody think taxes are going to go down? Oh, I heard silence. I heard silence. Yeah. Exactly. Taxes are going to go up. That's just a reality of life. And if you've built your whole structure on tax deferral, you may be making a huge mistake, because one of those shuns is taxation. That's the biggest one that's going to hit us in retirement if we don't plan properly. So planning properly is starting in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and getting enough time to get some of that tax deferral off the books and turning it into tax-free income.
So as we slowly wrap things up here on Kickin' with the Rickens, instead of coming to you and asking the question, how much money do I need to retire? Would the better question be, here's my budget, here's my expenses, how can you help me build retirement income?
That, and once the income is built out, I don't want to negate the fact that it is important to also plan with your assets. But hey, how do we cover my income and what do we do with the rest? Because every single person we meet with, it's like your fingerprint. They're all going to have a very different idea of what their risk tolerance is and how they should be matching that and meeting what kind of reward they want too in the future. So you might have all your expenses covered, but you might also want some play money or to leave the money for the kids in the future, or whatever your other financial goals are. We want to make sure we're meeting all of those and not just the income piece. But the gist is there's not a magical number that someone can just throw out. And once you hit that number, you're good to go. Every single person is going to have a different answer to how much they need to save and what the future is going to look like for them.
And if you have any questions, you hear anything on any of our podcasts here on Kicking with the Rickens, don't be afraid. There are no bad questions. It's your money. It's your life's work. You can reach out at rickenfinancial.com. Meet the team. Schedule that consultation as well. rickenfinancial.com. Before we get out of here, I want y'all to finish these. Every day
is a holiday.
Life is short.
Laugh hard.
Be happy. Behave.
Or be
Be
gone.
gone.
Appreciate you listening. This has been Kicking with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.